You know how it goes, man. Every off-season, there's always something stirring up drama. And right now, it feels like the same story all over again. One minute, it's a true competition. Next minute, people are already trying to crown a starter before things even really get going. As a fan, you just want to see it play out on the field, not decided in headlines or rumors. That's where the frustration kicks in, because we've been down this road before, and it didn't exactly end well. If you're rocking with me on this, hit that like button and drop a comment saying, "Dawg Pound, stand up," so I know where you stand on all this. Deshaun Watson has suddenly been pushed back into the spotlight inside Berea, and the latest developments around the Cleveland Browns quarterback battle are sparking serious tension, not just among fans, but now involving the Sanders family as well. According to the most recent reports circulating, Watson has emerged with an edge over Shedeur Sanders and is even being described as having the inside track to claim the QB1 job. That alone would already be enough to ignite debate, but the situation escalated quickly when those claims were doubled down on publicly, with suggestions that the Browns should name Watson the starter immediately and allow the offense to build chemistry without delay. That narrative didn't sit well with everyone. In fact, it triggered a direct and very public reaction from Shiloh Sanders, who fired back on social media with a comment that instantly went viral. While the remark itself may have been emotional, the bigger picture here is what it represents: frustration from the Sanders side about how this quarterback competition is being portrayed. And inside the Browns fan base, that frustration is just as real. Many supporters are questioning why there is such a strong push to crown Watson now, especially considering what unfolded on the field not long ago. When you go back and actually compare performances, the argument becomes even more complicated. Over Watson's last stretch of games, the results were undeniably rough. Just one win in 7 appearances, paired with struggles in efficiency and consistency. Meanwhile, in a similar sample size, Shedeur Sanders showed more production in key areas like passing yards and touchdowns, while even taking fewer sacks despite constant criticism about his pocket presence. That contrast is impossible to ignore if you're evaluating this strictly as a football decision. And yet, despite those numbers, the narrative suggesting Watson is already ahead continues to gain traction. That's where things start to feel familiar. This isn't the first time optimism around Watson has been heavily promoted during the off-season. There were similar reports during previous training camps, highlighting strong practices, sharp red zone execution, and impressive throws in drills. But when the regular season arrived, that version of Watson simply didn't translate to game day. The disconnect between practice hype and real performance has left many fans skeptical about buying into it again. Adding another layer to this story is the internal stance from the Browns organization itself. General Manager Andrew Berry has publicly maintained that no quarterback currently holds an advantage, and emphasized that it is a true competition. That directly contrasts with the idea that Watson is already leading the race. If the front office is insisting on an open battle, then why does the outside narrative feel so one-sided? There's also the historical context of reporting around this team, which has occasionally missed the mark in the past. Situations where early projections didn't match final decisions have made fans more cautious about accepting early conclusions as fact. And now, with emotions already high around the quarterback position, every new report is being dissected under a microscope. From a broader perspective, this all points to a franchise at a crossroads. On one hand, there's the investment and expectations tied to Watson. On the other, there's a younger quarterback in Shedeur Sanders who has shown flashes that make the competition legitimate. The presence of new coaching influence could also play a role, potentially reshaping how the staff evaluates both players moving forward. What's clear right now is that this is far from settled. Despite the noise, despite the reactions and despite the attempts to frame the situation as leaning one way, the reality inside the building appears to still be a battle. And until that final decision is made, every practice, every rep, and every performance will matter. So now it comes down to you, looking at everything that's happened, the stats, the reactions, and the history behind these reports. Do you believe Deshaun Watson should already be considered the favorite to start? Or should the Browns let this competition fully play out before making any call? And when you dig even deeper into what's happening here, it starts to feel like this situation is being shaped as much by narrative as it is by actual performance on the field. Because if this truly is a fair competition, then the timing of pushing one quarterback ahead in late April doesn't really add up. Training camp hasn't fully unfolded. Preseason reps haven't been distributed. And yet the conversation is already leaning toward a conclusion that hasn't been earned in real game conditions. There's also something else that can't be ignored: the pressure tied to past decisions. The Browns invested heavily in Deshaun Watson, not just financially, but in terms of draft capital and organizational direction. Even though ownership has already hinted that the move didn't deliver as expected, there's still that underlying reality. Decisions of that magnitude don't just disappear overnight. And whether consciously or not, that can influence how opportunities are given and how patience is distributed between players. At the same time, the presence of Shedeur Sanders introduces a completely different dynamic. He's not just another name in the room, he represents upside, development, and a potential shift toward the future. And based on what we've seen in limited action, there are legitimate reasons to believe he deserves a real shot to compete without the outcome being predetermined. The numbers from his performances, especially when compared side by side with Watson's recent stretch, support that argument in a very real way. Then you factor in the reaction from the Sanders family, and it becomes clear this isn't just about football anymore. When players and their inner circles start publicly pushing back against narratives, it usually signals a deeper level of dissatisfaction with how things are being handled behind the scenes. That doesn't necessarily mean there's dysfunction, but it does mean emotions are high, and the spotlight is only getting brighter. And let's not overlook the coaching element here. With new influence potentially evaluating the quarterback room, there's always the chance that internal opinions differ from what's being reported externally. Coaches tend to value what they see in system fit, decision-making, and adaptability, things that don't always show up in off-season headlines. So while one voice might be pushing urgency to name a starter, the staff could still be carefully weighing every variable before making that call. All of this creates a scenario where the Browns are walking a very fine line. Rush the decision, and you risk repeating past mistakes. Take your time, and you allow the competition to reveal the truth naturally. But one thing is certain: the fan base is watching closely, and patience is running thin when it comes to being told one thing and seeing another play out on Sundays. Because at the end of the day, Browns fans don't care about off-season narratives. They care about results. They've seen the promises before, they've heard the optimism before, and they've lived through the disappointment when it didn't translate. That's why this quarterback battle feels different. It's not just about who wins the job, it's about whether the organization is finally going to get this decision right. So now the focus shifts to what happens next. Will the Browns truly let this competition play out the way Andrew Berry described it? Or are we watching the early stages of another decision being shaped long before it's officially announced? If you're following this situation closely, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. And right now, click on the video that's appearing on your screen, because the latest Browns news, analysis, and behind-the-scenes insights you're only going to find right here.